Good morning everyone, my name is Guillaume Jobert and today I'm going to present you a session about flip learning, virtual practice and transfer learning. Welcome to FLIPTECH Learning 2020. I am an assistant professor in the mathematics department at Vincennes University, Indiana, and today I will present you 3 videos, each of them for flip learning, virtual practice and transfer learning. I tried to make 3 different videos. Instead, you have a long video of 45 minutes. You will be watching 3 videos about 13 to 15 minutes. Just to be in the equation with what we are doing in flip learning. When you are making a video, you should make a video no longer than the grade your students are in. So if you have a student in grade 6, you will make a video 6 minutes around. If you have a student in grade 4, you will make a video of 4 minutes. And if you have a student in grade 12, you will make a video no longer than 12 minutes. Second reason why is because when you are screencasting, when you are making a video above 15 minutes, you will have to pay, and it's not really necessary to pay. And second of all, I'd like to remind you that the rules is 1 minute per grade. So if it's perfectly fine, perfectly well. So let's start. So now you all have seen these classes. You all have seen this arrangement of table and chairs. And you probably, like me, have been in classes where you can have 2 or 3 or 4 or 500 students at a time when you were at the university. And today we can clearly see that this setup didn't change much compared to these pictures that you can see right now, probably taken in the 50s or 60s. Now, there is a quote that I really like and I completely agree with, is that the education system is an antiquated factory-based school model. We need to have a change if we want to help our students to achieve their highest potential. And I will go back to that because that is it's a quote that I really stick on it. The second thing is also that in the 1990s, the French Ministry of Education compared the French system to a mammoth, and he was using this metaphor to explain that it was very difficult to change a system, and we can see that with the picture that I showed you. Between the black and white picture and the color picture, nothing changed much. And it's been a long time that the setting and the teaching for students has been doing the same way. So yes, it is very long. Now, we are in a new paradigm in education, and the setting should be more like this. As you can see in this picture, you have different groups, you have students talking to each other, you have another one with stand up, and you have the professor in the back who is talking to another group of students. You can have another session where you could have students all participating in, and each table deciding in our setup as a team. As you can see in the front, you have team 10. But remember also that means that the professor is inside the class, is no longer in front of the student, but in between the table. And so what is flipping? Well, we could very quickly and very simply resume flipping as the learner doing homework in class with help. That was a quote from Peter Lynn. He is a former rocket scientist with degree from MIT, and it's an early pioneer in using flip model since 1970. He created criminal law courses around the country. He opened 1,125 flip learning center for the Army that he calls self-paced mastery learning. These words that you are hearing today for the past 20 years, in fact, have been used for more than 50 years. And he worked with high school and university. And we asked him the question, why did he work at the time? And his answer is, first of all, we had a lot of exercise to practice. And I will go back to this idea of practicing when we will talk about retrieval practice. Feedback every time, time to encouragement, to additional feedback, one-on-one instruction. The answer is very simple to me why it is working, and it's in two words. And these two words, I've listened and I've heard them when I went to the FLIPTECH 2015, and I've started to put some research on flip learning. And these two words are very simple. First of all, it's about relationship, emotional connection. When you have an emotional connection with your student and your student have an emotional connection with you, the transfer learning is way better, and it's a benefit for the student. We are not here to make friends. It's not about trying to make friends, but an emotional connection is a place where you and your student are going to connect in order to exchange and grow together. We have a tendency to think that the student is growing because of the professor, but the professor is also growing with the student. It's almost the same thing when you are a parent. Your kids are growing because of the parent, but the parents are growing at the same time than the kids. If you ask me if I'm ready right now to have my daughter getting married, I would tell you, no. So I'm glad I will grow with this idea along the next 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. Second point is about the time, and time is about being efficient. More we are able to use the time we have with our student in a better way, better it will be for them. So there is three reasons for the students to be excited. The first one is about the pacing, the control of their learning at home. They can watch, pause, go back at their will, the video, or any documentation. They can take the time to formulate their questions. And there is two kinds of questions, the question I call the retrieval question and the question I call understanding question. And these two questions are kind of different. And there is a time to write a good set of notes. And I work with the corner note-taking system, and I'm using that as the first retrieval exercise for my student. The second reason is about less time spent for homework at home. We can practice, the practice will be done in class, and other activity will be done in class. And finally, the third reason is about having more interaction with the professor. You can have multiple one-on-one interaction. You can learn more about the professor and yourself, and being able to have more one-on-one interaction help you to respond to a tension, to a stress that you will be able to see right away, and responding very quickly to this tiny little stress, avoid to have a huge stress at the end. And the idea is to help your student when he get out of your class to feel better about the content, but also about himself and his abilities. And you are making grow helping to grow the confidence he needs to have in order for him to achieve his highest potential. I'd like to talk to you about this little story about West Point in 1807 to 1833, and about the instructional model. At the time, first of all, they had detailed learning objective and readable text for each student. Each lesson has a performance objective, periodic review, quizzes verify progress, enough faculty to have an individual attention, student grouped by ability, a kind of Will Hunting movie, right? In 1945, things changed. They had a change with the director of West Point, homework are done now on chalkboard with demerit grade mistakes. So as soon as they were making a mistake, something was wrong, they had a grade, and that was a demerit grade mistakes. Waste of time to copy homework, because they had to copy the homework on their paper. 2, they are going to start to learn by doing outside the class to avoid demerit inside the class. So the learning is now went from inside to outside the class. They increase the time to do homework. That increased the number of mistakes. There is not enough practice, which imply failing. And cheating broke the honor code. How? Because 90 cadets expelled with 37 for the football team. It was a huge deal at the time. So in conclusion, first I'd like to remember that we are dealing with a learner. And learning is not easy. Second of all, in order to mastery, practice is fundamental. And again, I will go back to this idea of practicing and how retrieval practice is going to fit in this idea of practice is fundamental. Most of the time when we are saying practice is fundamental, as a mathematics professor, we think about doing a lot of problems. And I will tell you right now what my philosophy is. It's better to do 10 problems well done than 30 not well done. And I will go back to that in the retrieval practice. And finally, time is the essence of mastery. So if you want to be able to master something, you need to have the time to do it. You need to have the time to make mistakes. And we don't think about that. So this is what I wanted to tell you about flipping. Flipping the class is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful tool. But again, we need to have a true understanding of what is practice, how can we help students to achieve their highest potential. And now I'm going to start my second video talking to you about retrieval practice, and I will go back to this practice is fundamental. And I hope you enjoyed this first part. If you have any question, I'm looking forward to listen to them and talk to you on the Monday 13, if I'm correct, as far as I know today. So Monday 13, I will talk to you.